Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and today we're going to be talking about Soul Calibur 6 and whether or not it will be a sequel or a reboot of the franchise. Now just a heads up before this video does get started, Soul Calibur 6 hasn't actually been 100% confirmed, but the information about this had apparently been leaked on Reddit by the same individual who knew about Enchantress and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being in Fighter Pack 3. But obviously since it's a leak, take it with a grain of salt. So I was just thinking to myself, if this leak is accurate, which it most likely is as it's been 5 years since we've had a Soul Calibur game, and it was the 20th anniversary earlier this year, what exactly would they be doing with the story mode? Would they continue the story from Soul Calibur 5 onwards? Or would they in fact reboot it, to have it appeal to a newer generation? Well, let's find out. I'm going to break this video down into separate different sections, things that can favour a sequel or a reboot. Now although Soul Calibur hasn't always been too focused on the story, it's always had a very rich lore, and is set in a very interesting time, where monsters, knights and magic is literally outside their door. So there is a lot of material to work with here. Now I'm going to talk about some story stuff, so consider this a spoiler warning if you're not familiar with the Soul Calibur material. Okay, ready? Let's go. Now if we were to continue the story of Soul Calibur 5, it would be in a very weird place, as the two main swords of the series, Soul Calibur and Soul Edge, had both been united in astral chaos and were thrown into a banished rift in time. Now that's not to say they're beyond reach, as characters like Siegfried and Cervantes have gone into the astral chaos realm and walked out alive. So really it seems like anyone can walk into there and pull out any of the two swords. And we know that Al Ghul is currently stranded in the astral chaos realm, and during the events of Soul Calibur 4 and 5, the Hero King was interested in obtaining these two weapons as he believed that they represented his power. So with Soul Calibur and Soul Edge now residing in the astral chaos realm, I don't see any reason for Al Ghul to not utilize them, as really it's part of his MO. But if this were the case, then there would be quite a big problem here: the absence of Nightmare, as Soul Edge has the ability to in fact corrupt its user by turning them into Nightmare, but in the hands of Al Ghul, who is resistant to the corruption, that means that the game would be missing its own mascot, as Nightmare has been a staple of the Soul Calibur series, having featured on most game covers involving Soul Calibur. But of course, in saying that, this is just one of many ideas that can come from the Soul Calibur franchise as we know it. So I guess another benefit we can talk about here from it being a sequel, as some may want a continuation of the series to tell the story about the new generation of characters we got in Soul Calibur 5. But in saying that, a lot of people didn't like a lot of the new characters they incorporated in Soul Calibur 5, and it may have been due to the fact that they replaced a lot of the series' mainstay characters. Instead of giving some of these characters these completely new and different movesets, they more or less copy and pasted an old character onto a new character, hoping that fans would accept this. Don't know about you guys, but I never asked Taki to be replaced by Natsu, nor would I ever want that for any character in the series, regardless of how lame some may be. But now let's talk about a reboot, and what are the benefits of this? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it reintroduces the series to a newer generation, because let's face it, Soul Calibur is 20 years old. I'm just a little bit older than that. So by rebooting the series, you could help not only bring in old fans, but have the game appeal to a different generation of gamers. As let's face it, Soul Calibur has most certainly made a name for itself in the fighting game industry, so it's definitely a product that people can be familiar with. But what's the other bonus we get if it's a reboot? Well, we could get a very interesting story mode and learn more about Soul Edge and Soul Calibur. It could reintroduce us into this world in a way that hasn't been done before. As you see, old fighting games were not too interested in like creating a proper full-on story, but more so putting out an interesting concept and idea out there and seeing how the public kind of reacts to it. If it's positive reception, there will be a sequel. And this is what happened to Soul Calibur. As the series gained more steam, more storyline aspects were added to it to flesh out the universe more. But in saying that, the Soul Calibur series didn't get a proper story mode up until Soul Calibur 5, if you could actually call still images a story mode. Needless to say that Soul Calibur 5's storytelling was quite bad, as well as the storyline itself being less than mediocre. So a retelling of the series would definitely be a step in the right direction here, especially if it's very cinematic. As well, to this day I'm still trying to get the taste of the bad story mode out my mouth. Plus, if we go to protagonists and compare Patroclus to Siegfried, Siegfried definitely wins, as he has a great backstory that I will be talking about on Saturday, so if you are interested in that, please keep an eye out for it. Now let's go back to the topic about roster. Now a fighting game can only be strong as the characters that are on its roster, and I can't think of a better roster of characters than the Soul Calibur series in its prime. Every character on the roster felt unique, very different, and really their weapons helped complement their sense of identity. It allowed them to distinguish themselves from other people on the roster. The senseless brutality that you felt when Nightmare was swinging around Soul Edge, the swift but powerful strikes of Mitsurugi, the sensational and sexy strikes from Ivy. Every character had their own way of expressing their abilities on the roster, and really it helped made not only them but their movesets very iconic, which is why I believe that in Soul Calibur V, when a lot of this was given to the newer generation, a lot of people shunned it. These nobodies picking up weapons of characters we love are nothing more than imposters. They hadn't done anything at that point to earn the title of, I don't know, the next Killick. So basically what I'm saying here is that everyone from the older Soul Calibur games had a sense of identity, and that's what made people love them. I believe that by doing a reboot, you'll be able to bring that nostalgic feeling to older and newer players of the series who were introduced to Soul Calibur V, and then we can see the old-time greats once again. Now, reboots aren't always the best thing to do, but in this case, when it comes to a fighting game, it does seem very beneficial. The roster of Mortal Kombat 9, I would say, is far superior to any Mortal Kombat game before, because there was a lot of nostalgia of the characters on the roster, because everyone liked who was on there. No one felt out of place. So by doing a reboot, Soul Calibur could start an entire new series of games with a refreshed and revitalized cast. And even from that point onwards, they could create their own story and make something new and different for the series. But that's just kind of my idea on the benefits and things we can see if Soul Calibur 6 is either a sequel or a reboot. So now I'll leave the question out here to you guys, as I wanted to express my opinion on this and also find out what you guys had to say. Where do you stand on Soul Calibur 6? Would you want it to be a reboot of the series so you could bring back a lot of the original cast, or would you want it to be a sequel that continues the story from Soul Calibur 5 onwards? Feel free down in the comments below to write out some ideas story-wise, as I'm not gonna lie, I'd be very interested to see what people have to say about this topic. Now, like I said at the beginning, Soul Calibur 6 isn't solid in stone, but there has been a lot of talk about it, and the leak did say that it was scheduled to be revealed next month, so please do keep an eye out if you're a hardcore Soul Calibur fan. But yeah, that's more or less it for this video for now. I do want to apologize to everyone due to the lack of uploads, but recently there's been a lot of work going on in the house, and I actually haven't been able to find the time to record properly, so I am sorry about that. But at least you'll get this video and a Siegfried video on Saturday. So if you are a massive Soul Calibur fan, please do keep an eye out for that. Normal uploads will hopefully go back to normal on Wednesday, but I can't promise anything as I live above the kitchen that is currently being stripped apart and redone. So yeah, hopefully something good will come out of this. Now, before this video wraps up guys, if possible, let's try getting it to about 500 likes. It's a great way of supporting this channel as YouTube's ad system is broken as hell. Plus YouTube keeps seeming to demonetize my videos, so giving it a thumbs up helps out a lot. And if you would like to go the extra step, we also have a Patreon set up. All contributions there are deeply appreciated, and you do get some extra content on the side. Anyway guys, as always, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.